Hey everyone, today on the BodCast I am talking with personal trainer Dawni Rae Shaw. Dawni Rae she is just a ball of energy. She is so much fun to talk to. And she is a different type of personal trainer. She believes that people need to get outside and move the way that they were designed to move. So naturally, I like her. But anyway, this is a great conversation. Donnie's got some great little nuggets of wisdom, and she is so passionate and sincere about her craft and about helping people move better and become the best versions of themselves. I really think you're going to love this show. Before we go to the show, a brief and quick word from our sponsor, OSIonline.com. That's OSI-online.com. And the reason you want to go to OSI-online.com is because there you may find a daily movement program that is just right for you. So, in fact, there's a movement program called the Daily 21s, and that program is designed to get you moving every day to build very sustainable movement habits and movement passions that will move you to feeling better in your own body, which means you're going to feel better in your own emotions and better in your own mind. And it's ridiculously simple to do. All you got to do is show up for 21 days in a row and partake in these movements for 21 reps at a time. Ridiculously simple, ridiculously effective. That program again is the Daily 21s program, available at OSI-online.com. And now, back to the show. Pull up a chair and buckle up. It's the Original Strength Podcast. Dawni Rae, you are a personal trainer, and before we get started, tell me about how you got started in fitness and training people.
Okay, so long ago, I think, I was in about fifth grade, I discovered running. And so I've always been drawn to being in my body and moving. And just through my life, it's just always been a go-to for me. And I was, I was always the most inspirational, player, and I would be on sports teams, softball, basketball, and I was never a big shot or big home run hitter or anything, but that was really important for me around inspiration, and so I always got that trophy. Running was my love, and then just over time, and through my story, I went through a lot and am overcome and a conqueror of many traumas and so forth. And so along the way, I became diabetic at about 24. I'm 62, and I became insulin dependent diabetic and learned how to live with that in my life, and held off on college, went back as an older adult, and was in junior college. And I discovered somebody at the college in aerobics, and a girlfriend turned me on to this fitness aerobic class, and I loved this instructor. I loved that she didn't use any equipment. She was just this beautiful, strong woman, move the room with this amazing music, and I just thought, it just hit me, that's what I want to do. And I was on my way to be a chemical dependency counselor, which was insane because it was where I came from in my life. That's what I grew up with in my life, with family and so forth. And discovered, like, oh no, like, I grew up in that. I don't want to work in that. And then right in college, I started to get trained to be a fitness instructor and trainer, and came into it first as an instructor because I wanted to lead groups of people. And so I'm almost 30 years in the industry now. And and so I took off in that, and now created my own business training as Dawni Rae Training, and just recently in changing that to Dawni Rae Wellness, just because of now what I offer. And anyway, so that's become my life and my livelihood, and I feel blessed to be in it. And that's how along the way I met Mick Dodge, Barefoot Sensei. And so
how did you meet Mick Dodge?
Well, I was at a club that I work at called Pro Sports Club in Bellevue, and they bring in people, different trainings and so forth. And I heard about a guy coming in who was doing a training called Exuberant Animal, and Frank Faringits, and I went down to the training, and it was so in his body with kind of the idea of the way animals move, to to the way science is in the body, and he's just such an amazing author and facilitator. I loved the intellect of that, and then I loved the movement of it. And then I just started to train with him. And then that led to me helping him build some retreats that we then began to put out exuberant animal retreats. And that's how I met Mick, because Frank knew Mick. And then Mick began to be involved in that. And then we've just all been friends for years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're an exuberant animal instructor. And I've been checking out your website. You don't use a lot of, well, your equipment seems to be the body and space and nature.
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, if you were to give me the option to be in the gym or even to be anywhere with, your basic dumbbells and equipment, which are important, I'd rather have you lifting logs and rocks and so forth, outdoors and in the nature. Like I just love that. And so my retreats engulf that, and also equipment. If you look around, I'm not a clipboard gym trainer. I'm going to have you innovative in your body. I'm going to have you, like, how can I get you to learn to love to move, and it not, be this eye rolling experience that's just going to piss you off and you're going to quit, but how can we get to that place where you find joy in it? And so what I love to do is bring instability work, get into where you're doing things on a ledge or a beam or holding something heavy, whether it is real equipment and from gym equipment to, being like that outdoors. But having fun. Like, my goal is to get you moving and laughing, and that's why I resonate so much with Mick Dodge, because he's all about, these are the hardest muscles to lift. These corners of your mouth, right? It is. And I just try and teach people, you don't have to feel happy. Just look it. And right, because it's that thing, like, I don't smile because I'm happy. I'm happy because I smile.
Right on.
Like a whole chemical release. And that shit is real. It's really real. So whether it's a kid to someone with autism to an older adult, like my oldest client is 82, and she's with me 3 times a week and has had a stroke on her left side, and just getting her to move, but to smile and to enjoy it, like, at least in that time together.
That's
and I
awesome.
Yeah, and that's not true. Like, not just in that time together, but how can I help you motivate yourself to go, like, I want to move with or without the trainer, with or without the teacher, right? Becomes a lifestyle.
So I read that one of your gifts is you have a specialty in assessing people, knowing what their body needs when they get started. How do you do that?
So from the moment I start moving with you or being with you while you move, whether I'm in a group of 50 or just one-on-one, it's just an innate desire of mine. I feel like blessed with, to know if I can push in and help you go where you don't really think or imagine you can go, and also to help you pay attention when it's time to pull out. I call it the sweet spot. That's that sweet spot between not enough and too much, and to know when, okay, it doesn't feel like I can hold this longer, or lift that higher, do 1 more, 20 more, or is it time to just honor to be and pull back? So it's just this cool cadence dance between helping you determine that and push over where your brain wants to stop you, or to honor where your body does need to go.
Right on. So you're helping people learn how to meet themselves where they're at, I guess.
Yeah. And yes, exactly. And also to explore where they've never been. That release is amazing. I mean, to be in the presence of someone and they press through and they start to cry, and then I start to cry because they just hit something they've never experienced ever. Like right before you throw up. Right. That if you do throw up, then there's a prize in it for you. I don't want people to throw up. I have a couple stories about that. It's not fun, but yeah. Yeah.
So how do people find you? Like, because I'm assuming if most people are thinking about, I want to get in shape, I want to exercise, they're probably thinking they're going to a gym and they're going to work out inside of a facility with machines and stuff like that. How do they find you? And then how do you convince them that, hey, let's go outside, let's take this outside?
So word of mouth has been the biggest thing. People through the clubs that I worked at, they'll know or hear of things I do outside of that, whether it's a retreat or an outdoor class or whatever it may be. I have to say the biggest one is word of mouth. And I'll get on and promote, through Instagram and Facebook. I remember Tim through COVID. It was so important for me to keep the light in people, to keep them going. And so I all of a sudden became virtual with help with people around me to help me get set up. And I've always had a studio in my house. There's always been a place to bring people that don't want to go outside or not comfortable, or they're sun sensitive or rain sensitive, if you can believe that. But I will have a place to go inside. And so, and I would say I'm well known in the circle and the tribe that I have, but I'm very unique and different. And so it's still a new experience for people to experience my approach, my way. And if you come to a class, you're going to have fun, you're going to laugh. I'm well seasoned. I'm so grateful to I could sit on the stage and move the room, because I know I'm good at it and I love it. But it's fun, so it's I would say the biggest way is by word of mouth. I put a little bit of time into promoting. I'm getting ready to launch a January retreat, and so I'll be out there a little bit more. But anyway, that's an outdoor experience, and the retreats are outdoor and lots of movement. And my retreats are called Refresh Extravaganza.
So what is a refresh extravaganza?
So I'm offering them in different time spans now. So typically it started out, we were 8 into them. Now we've done 8, and I have a crew of 6 ladies that volunteer their time. And the Refresh Extravaganza is a 4-day intensive where you come, you get off the grid. We hide your car. You can't see your car the entire time.
Holy moly.
You take your keys, your phone, this ahead of time that you're going to take a electronic sabbatical. And it's a big deal for some. And even when they know and they're coming, it's amazing how I gotta come and help people be encouraged to hand over their phone and then to watch what they experience, for them to be up here, instead of here, for 4 days, and to just watch what they gain from that. It's a deep dive, Tim. It's an intensive to what I call move, drop, and write. And so they're journaling a lot. They're moving a lot. They're from dancing to using gear and kind of doing a bit of a circuit training outside, running. We get them in the river or in the body of water that we're retreating at, which most of the time is a river where we are right now. And yeah, and so literally when they get there on a Thursday night, they're diving in. It's late nights. They never ever know what time it is. They never know what time it is. And so we have set that up so that we'll find out, like, well, so how much time would you like from getting up to our first movement, right? How much time would you like there? And then that way we know what time we're waking them up, but they don't know. And they literally don't know the time the whole time they're there. We put tape on, thermostats, and it's just so cool, because they don't know. And there's a lot of music involved, really thought out playlists and songs. The magic happens. There's this, what I call generative language that I just am blessed with, to have content that is always the same structure of what we do. And I can say more about that. But then every single refresh, new things happen because of the group that's there. So that's where that key is, of being open in my spirit and in my intuitive, to be led to all of a sudden, here we are in content, but I'm led to go here because I see a need, or I see what's happening, to have something birth right there. And so there's just unbelievable magical moments because people's vulnerability open. They know they're not pressured to, step up to the mic. but they do, that meaning the proverbial mic where they share something, right? But when they come Thursday and we get to brunch on Friday, to hear the chatter and the laughter and the bonding is just amazing. So I'm launching my first co-ed. It's always been women. So the first co-ed's coming up this coming June in 2024.
So I'm just curious, like, and this is going to sound weird, but if people give you their phones and they give you their watches and they never know what time it is, does it freak them out? Do they end up crying? Like that can mess some people
Well,
up.
there's some a little bit of, tug of war going on there for a minute for some, and that's only less than like 5%. But there's always a couple or someone that tries to hold back their Apple Watch or whatever it is, and but they have access to it if they need to like check on kids,
Okay.
or and then their people have my contact and another one of the people on the crew for any emergency. But yeah, shit comes up because it's vulnerable, right? And we get into, and we just don't realize how much control that has on us, or maybe what a safety blanket it might be to always have contact with this thing, and so certainly it sets them up, which is what the whole goal is to be more vulnerable, to find out more about themselves. And that's the whole key, is that you're going to come and you're going to leave feeling clarity, inspired. You're going to be tired, so tired, but so energized because of it. And it's there, you're going to know where you're going to go next level. You're going to have painted that picture literally. And then the support of people around you that becomes this accountability, boat now of your tribe, and the relationships and the networking that happens. And to just watch these women from when they came to when they leave. And it happens every time. And every time it kicks my ass. Every time. I'm just holding that space and being in that place with people. And it's great and I love it. But oh my gosh, it's just amazing. And I love it.
What is, if you have one that you can share, what is a story of a person that what did they discover? Like how did it help them? How did it change their life? Or what, like what's one of your favorite moments?
That's a great question. All right, here's what came to my mind. And there's a bazillion, okay? One of the things that happens, I have to share this first to set it up, is that when you come, you have already thought of a nickname. So I want it to be so magical that everything about it for you feels good. And some things don't, but like this, you're going to think of a nickname that makes you feel fabulous to say and hear. It's something that maybe you want to attract more of, manifest, or claim. Okay, so my nickname at the refresh is I'm Shanti, and in Sanskrita, in the yoga language, Shanti means peace. And so for me, that's always something that I'm wanting to experience more of, choose more of in my life, to be that peaceful warrior. So Shanti. You pick a nickname. So this particular participant's nickname is Wave. And Wave came, and she's raw, and she's got, things that she's looking at that are issues around some of the struggles that her boys are having. And she's a mama. And one thing that transpired for her is that at her wedding reception, she chose to her in the wedding, it was a Jewish wedding. And so they wanted to put her in the chair and lift her. If you know that song, there's a specific song, and all the men lift the bride up in the chair. If you know anything about Jewish weddings, and she chose to not do that. And she regretted it. She just regretted it. So in this particular moment where we were in a place of identifying, some of losses or regrets, to come to terms with some of those, and then what's the journey to take what it has for us and then come full circle, right? So what happened for her in that moment, we're literally on our way on a hike. And I was doing the segment before that. And what ended up happening is she got in touch with it. She missed that moment. there's right. All of a sudden we're leaving on a hike, but all of a sudden I look at some of my crew. They knew it. They went and got a chair. They brought the chair in, the entire participants in the crew. I look up the song. I get the song playing loud. We get this stuff out of our prop bucket and we have this old lacy drape and we put it on like it's her bridal veil and we lift her up and it was unbelievable. And she did it and we recreated it and we filmed it so she could show her husband and she's bawling. And then once we brought her down, it was just everyone gathered and she just like, so needless to say, that did not live inside of her anymore, that regret. So things like that happen constant, just constant and spontaneous.
So what I think you're telling me is that health and wholeness are not just physical. It's not just about movement. Movement's huge, but it's not just about movement.
So this sign up there says, that's my sign, that a statement I've made that a client put on a board. And I have a lot of sayings. And that one says, look in and work it out. The more you do it, the more you'll do it. And health and fitness is like, it's an inside job first. My body is going to let go of inflammation when I decide to travel and journey and dance with the story inside of why do I have this armor of fat on? What is that doing for me? Right? Or whatever that is around health. And there's story inside. And so at the refresh, you bring a picture of yourself as a baby or toddler, every single refresh. And that goes on a whiteboard in what we call the sanctuary. And the entire refresh, we revert to that little kid. And so it's inner child work is the deep core. And there's so many activities and things that we do around that whole inner child. And so most of us leave that state, right? But it exists in us. So the refresh is about integrating ourselves as an adult with our inner child and to let that come to life and to let that playfulness come and that the tears come, story come, and to just look in and work it out. And then our body will follow. The freedom in our body will follow. And dis-ease, right? That's all about dis-ease in the body. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. So where are you located at?
In the Seattle area, I'm in what's called Kenmore. If you know East Side, Bellevue, Kirkland, I'm kind of North Kirkland, and it's called Kenmore.
So if somebody wants to go to the Refreshed Extravaganza, where do they go? How do they find out about it? How do they sign up for it?
Call me. You just got to call me. And my number's everywhere. I'm public on Facebook and Instagram.
I'll put it in the notes of the show.
Yeah, DawniRae.com, extravaganza.com.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just going to say our January one is just now. Today, I just said the date, and the January one will promote like in the next 48 hours, get it out there.
Awesome. So if somebody like say lives in Virginia or North Carolina, Florida, and they wanted to train with you, would they be able to? How could they do that?
Virtual.
Oh, okay.
I'm virtual. Yeah. I mean, I have a 7:30 virtual yoga stretch tonight with a gal in San Diego, and so virtual is great. It's awesome. But come to the refresh. Like it's just, everybody needs the refresh. And I say that in a way just because I know what you're going to get. And I know the break that you're going to take from your life and then how you're going to go back into your life. And what I see people do that have gone to the refresh that are going next level, from dropping weight and quitting a job that wasn't their truth to then getting more in line with their identity and their calling. Right. And so everything from virtual to coming to visit me to coming to a refresh. Yeah. And the refreshes right now are in this area in Washington. And we're at what's called the Big House Lodge in Cle Elum, Washington. And you can look Big House Lodge up. It's an amazing venue.
So you've been in the fitness industry for roughly 30 years. You said you were 62, but you look like you're like 32. So what is your, if somebody wanted to know the secret to longevity, what would you tell them?
Mine is that I've worked intentionally through my hardship of story that I come from. And now, literally, I'm grateful for that experience because it has built my livelihood. I stand in front of you as a facilitator because and I'm good. Thank you. I am grateful for that. And I'm always learning, I'm always growing, and I'm always humbled, and always learning. And I'm a student too. I stay as a student in places, so I have that. But literally for my livelihood, it's because I've chosen to do my work and to continue to do my work, to do the hard right thing and dive in and just be in a journey constantly of healing from the inside, and to the point to get to a place that I see how it served me. I see that I can flip that, awful experience, that test, right, into my testimony, right? And so then it sets me up on that way of like when life comes and it hits, and I take the hit, and I'm going to get back up, and I'm not going to be victimized. Maybe I'm going to be shook up for a second or two, but I'm going to get back up. And in that, the blanket, the umbrella that is over me is my faith. And my faith is huge. It's unshakable. And in my faith, I am just, the way I'm built is I love humans. I just love humans from all walks of life. So my faith is not going to be fire hosed onto you. And so if you come like in my presence and whatever I'm doing as a trainer, teacher, facilitator, I'm not going to press that on you, but you will wonder what's my key, what has it been, so the glory goes to God. It just, that's who's guided, protected me. It's what I walk under, and it's given me such a capacity to love people. And so every walk of life I work with are invited to our refresh. People come and they realize that they feel safe, that they trust, that there's nothing pushed on them except who are you, and how you want to open that up, and how do you want to grow, and who gets the glory in your life, like who are you depending on, and so it's so personal, and it's really this fine line, because there are Christian people even that I'm related to that just like I blow them away. My daughter blows them away because our love is so big, but we believe in that is how it's meant to be. And we want people to feel safe in our presence and to grow and to be the best that they can be. So, I eat well. I choose to, as I'm diabetic. So, Tim, part of my history, super quick story, is that I was this loving kid, and I was in a broken family and lots of drugs and lots of dads, lots of moms. And, I was born in the 60s. So my mom was like a hippie girl, and she was a kid having kids. And, so I got sexually abused horribly. And that went on in my life for a really long time. And so from that I learned how to beat myself up. I learned that felt guilty. I felt dirty and shame. So I learned, how do I keep doing that? So then I became bulimic. If you are familiar with eating disorders, I didn't know where I got that idea. I'm this health nut athlete, and all of a sudden I'm doing the bulimia behavior, eating and purging. It was awful on my system. That caused diabetes. There was so much stress put on me from that. It lasted for a decade. Overcame all that. That's long ago, but I'm left with diabetes, which, if you follow the lineage, came from being sexually abused, right? And so that story now is important because it is made me who I am. And what was your question?
That was, what was your secret to longevity?
Yeah. So that's important because I've had to go back and uncover all the shit right? I've had to do that to see how it's played out. So I eat well because I choose to, but diabetes comes from that. And I've just made friends with like, okay, that's another, guest in my life, this visitor of diabetes. Um, and I move my body. I get outside. I get barefoot in the earth. I attract people like Frank Ferengic's Exuberant Animal to Mick Dodge's Barefoot Sensei, who, my God, you know how amazing he is to follow and listen. He could sit around anywhere and listen to him forever, and to have that opportunity to work and be with him. And I've had many, and he truly is a sensei in my life. And every single refresh, every single one, hours before people drive up, I get barefoot in the grass and I talk to him. And it may be an hour, it may be 2.5 hours. And all of a sudden he'll give me more nuggets that I'm going to hit during the refresh, And it's just like before this, Tim, he's one of the people are like, don't forget to talk about, making people smile, and make sure you tell them this about you. He's just one of those. So surrounding myself with people that I want to be more like. Oh, a big one that makes me stay younger is I have learned boundaries. I've learned boundaries. I love my mama, but I've had to set my boundaries. I just don't let people. I just am not gonna. People that are not very nice, they just don't get access to me anymore. They don't get access, especially chicks. I'm just not going to worry about you, whether you like me or not. Like, I had to come a long way in that. I love you, and you turn towards me and we're good. We're good forever. But I've gotten really good at boundaries, and really caring about who I hang out with, and who I offer my help to. And I'm still working on that. I'm still working on charging more so that what I do is more sustainable, because I just love everyone. Yeah. So, I mean, all those things, I hope that was clear and helpful, and I kind of went in tangents, but yeah.
It was actually better than I anticipated. You're stronger than thunder. That's awesome. One last question. Do you like peanut butter?
I love peanut butter. No kidding. I could live on peanut butter. I've loved peanut butter since I was a kid. Yeah. Why?
I asked that with I try to ask that with everybody that I have on the show. And it lets me know if if I'm really connected to them or not. So now I know.
Oh, listen to this. So a couple new things in my life that have been hard hits is that about a year ago, I started to get eczema. And so, big story, but anyway, I did food allergies recently, and I pray to God that's not one of them, right? Because I'm still going to eat it. I'll take the shots medicine. I'm not giving up peanut butter, but yeah. And then I've always been in my body, so I just recently had a meniscus tear, and I found out that not only did I do that, but I'm bone on bone. So I'm going in for a partial knee replacement, and I'm just coming to terms with it, and I literally got in my car after I found out what's going on. And I'm just like, I thought I was invincible. I'm not going to age like those old people, and I'm aging just like all the athletes that, I'm surrounded by so many people in the fitness industry who have, partial or full knee replacements. And, so I'm still coaching. I'm just modifying it. But, the body's going to change, and we got to, adjust and
you sound pretty invincible to me. I think you're pretty much invincible. Dawni Rae, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tim. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Now get outside and play.